Okay. Hello, sir. You are not audible. We can't hear you. Personally, I know.
Can you hear me?
Okay, much better now.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm so sorry about that.
No
Good evening,
problem.
Ronke. Good evening, Pastor Wale. You did not pray enough. You know you are the one that prays the most of both of us. You did not pray enough.
Well, what's happening? What's happening is one of the things that fathers fear.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Well, thank you everybody for joining us this evening. Thank you so much. And Pastor Wale, thank you so much for being around.
Yes, sir.
Ronke, good evening. Thank you so much. I saw, who else did I see in there? I don't know everybody. Woodsworth's Debo. Hello, Debo. How are you doing? Good to see you. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. So, let's just go straight into it. We are talking about what fathers fear. I guess one of it is social media. Fathers fear social media. I don't think so. Particularly fathers that are not too techy like me.
Well, fathers that are not techy like you, they are becoming a rare commodity in today's world.
So they need to put us in the museum. They need to move us to the museum.
Something like that. So either in the museum and precisely if that museum has an archive department.
They should move us to the archive of the museum. Thanks for the comfort. Don't worry. They said the illiterate of the 21st century, I think it's Alban Tobler that said that, is the one that cannot learn, unlearn and relearn. So we are quickly learning and unlearning and relearning. So we are getting there. Thank you so much for joining. And how is your day? I think I saw Lola there a few minutes ago. I don't know. We spoke a few days. We spoke a few days ago. She gave me a quick lecture. I won't tell you what the lecture was about. That's between both of us.
Okay, I'll ask her.
Don't worry. You are safe. You are safe. All right. So let's jump straight into it because of our time. Pastor Wale, fathers and fear. And I can talk about this with you because we've spoken about this in a number of areas, and I know part of your experience and all that. Just in the last, I'm sure I sent you a message. Was it last night or this morning?
I think it was early this morning.
Was it early this morning? Early this morning. And it's from a father, I believe. I believe the guy is a father.
Possibly.
But at least a man, had a family and things happened. And this is a real life story now, and I don't want to talk about it too much. So, and I did not know this when I sent you this invite for this, because I got that email yesterday or 2 days ago. No, yesterday. And it's a case of a father who at some point in his life things had gone south the way he wasn't expecting, and life just took a different turn, and he got into trouble, and he's trying to model his way out. Hopefully, So truly, and from experience, and we can talk about this on so many levels, even though I don't want to limit it to within the faith community, because fear is fear, whether you're a Christian, Muslim, idol worship or anything. These are things we deal with as fathers and as men. Do we really deal with fear? They say men don't fear anything. Some people say men fear. Is it true? Do men really fear anything? There's some data, but let me leave it to you.
Well, without going into data, it's very wrong to say that there's nothing men don't fear. Every human being has something in fear. But what makes the difference is not being consumed by that fear. There's something that we all fear. There's something that we all don't want to happen. But the most important thing is this: how we face how we handle, and how we navigate the fear. So I'll tell you, I, for example, one of the things I fear happening the most, but which God has helped me, is not being able to provide for my family. I have experienced how I lost money in the capital market, lost everything. One of the things that really made me depressed was that I could no longer provide for my family. So we had a situation where from 1 month's salary then, we could pay our house rent. We used to pay school fees ahead of time for the children. And suddenly, all because of a wrong investment decision, all those things, quote and unquote, became things of the past, and I could no longer do that. So every day I woke up feeling sad about the things I could no longer do for the family. I would look at my wife, look at my children, but instead of them making me happy through no fault of their own, I became sadder. And the reason why I became sadder was because I could no longer do the things I used to do. And I know that looking at it that way, and even in today's world, it is a clear and present fear that every father has at the back of their mind, not being able to provide for the family. Yes, till now. And you also agree with me that many men, I think at least 99% of us, we tie that ability to be able to provide to our self-esteem. So when a man loses that ability to provide, it's as if he has been emasculated. It's as if they've taken everything away from him. Now I'm older, now I'm wiser, and now I know how to handle things. So God forbid, if I have a financial crisis again, instead of saying what I said in 2008 that I lost all, what I'm only saying time around is that I have lost my finances. You know why? Because even if I've lost money, I still have my faith. I still have my salvation in Christ. I still have my mind. I still have the ability to bounce back. So losing one thing should not be used as a paintbrush. Brush everything and totally take it out of perspective. So one thing that fathers fear is that ability to not be able to provide for their family.
So for a lot of men, economic fear is a major one for a lot of men.
Of course, especially when you look at the direction the world is going to, the world is going now. You for example, depending on the kind of business you are in, you have everything sewn up, and then someday one person just wakes up in government and makes a policy, and that policy totally wipes out your business. What do you do?
Okay, so you've mentioned the economic part of it, but I've also seen men that are economically, powerful, and all those things, and they still have fears. Are there other things that men fear apart from the inability to? Even though you said it's not everybody, are there other things that men fear? So apart from these economic things, economic realities.
Of course. A lot of men from the ones that myself and Lolade have been working with, a lot of men fear losing their role as father.
Okay, what do you mean by losing their roles as father?
Now, in the olden times, most women didn't have a means of livelihood.
Okay.
And they had to depend on their husband for the means of livelihood. So in those days, you'll also find out that a lot of women got married to men they are not really in love with, but the man could provide everything for them, so they were secure. So in those days, the man would leave the house and go out in the morning to work. So the mother was the one who took care of the home. and then the man came back to the city. He provided the house, he provided food, he provided school, he provided everything. So the man was totally the provider. Now, we are in a world where what men can do, women can also do, and they are also doing. So a woman has financial empowerment. A woman no longer has to depend on her husband for security. All she has to do is call 911 or 199, depending on the country she's in. So economic empowerment, security, advice. A woman can actually go to Google and Google advice on how to train a child and get it from there. So you find out that gradually the role of the husband, the role of the father is being diminished because they are alternate. So a lot of men are not handling it very well. So they become
so that's patriarchal mentality where everything revolves around them. That control is reducing and they can't handle it. Some men
is reducing. So it's a direct attack on the man's identity. So a lot of us
on our status. It's an attack on our status as men.
Status symbol. Totally, direct frontal attack. And many of us are taking part. So we are not responsible to it well. So our roles are being taken away. But you see, the truth is this: it's not as difficult as it looks. And the reason is this: if you have a proper collaboration, a proper relationship with your wife, it will never be an issue.
Okay. How about health challenges? So about health, I'm just saying some of the things I've had to deal with health, men, some of them are, health challenges, sometimes delay in childbirth, or the fact that the child has not come yet, a wife that, like you said, a wife that earns much more, the fact that the world is global now, so you see a lot of things on social media, or maybe that is tied to economics too, and there are just there are some cultural things that men. I'm saying this so that I still want to tie some of the things you said. I just want to look at a number of those things, I also think some of these things are also climate specific. I'm just looking at them. So talk about the health challenges, talk about the productivity challenge when it comes to childbearing, and a few other things that you can mention, please.
Yeah, health challenges. I'll tell you something. You are the reason why I came to social media today. Since Monday, I've been off social media. And the reason why I've been off social media is because I have to take an important rest. Yeah, because I was overworking myself. And then my wife said, you will not die. The church will not die. Business will not die. Stay off social media and take a deserved rest. We have to understand that for someone like myself and you, we are in our late 40s. The things we could get away with in our 20s, we can no longer get away with them. And so, like has been said, if you do not rest, you might end up being late to rest. So, for the past 4 days, all I've just been doing is eating, sleeping, and playing games. Let me just take it easy for once in my life. You know why? Because when you should rest and you don't rest, there's a build-up on your body, which eventually, when it is payback time, it might just lead into a serious illness. And when these illnesses come, some of us might not recover from them. They might leave a long-lasting effect on us by God's grace to stay alive. So the health challenges are real. For example, I think I shared with you in 2020 when I went for my COVID vaccine, and it was it was this particular one, I've forgotten the name, that starts from M, that I wanted to take there. And then they took my heartbeat, my heart rate, and found out that my blood pressure was high. And the first thing they asked me was this: are you thinking about money? I said no. Are you thinking about anything? I said no. So they said I should sit down a bit, wait for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, the blood pressure was still high. And then they said that the guy sleep well that night. I said no, that I woke up early. So the nurse said to me, go back up, come back the next day, sleep well. So I slept well, went back the next day. The blood pressure was even higher this time. And then they took me inside and they gave me a thinner to thin the blood. After I used the thinner, the blood pressure had even climbed higher. So I became worried. My wife had taken her own back, and she too became worried. So we went back. When I got back home, I called my doctor. And the first thing the doctor asked me is, he said, what's your lifestyle? He said, do you exercise? I said, no. He said, do you eat red meat? I said, yes. He said, do you eat late at night? I said, yes. He said, that's why your blood pressure is high. You are in your 40s. He said, so what are you going to do now? He said, number one, totally limit your consumption of red meat. He said, number two, start eating more vegetables and fruit. Then he said, number three, start exercising. Do walks in the morning. Then he said, number four, don't for any reason ever eat after 7 p.m. He said, even if you are going to eat after 7 p.m., make sure that you don't go to bed until 3 hours after your last meal. So I put those things into practice. After 2 weeks, I went to the hospital, they did my blood pressure, and guess what? It was normal. So it was just a lifestyle change that I needed. It was not prayers, it was not fasting, it was just a lifestyle change. So a lot of fathers fear their health breaking down when they get old. But see, the cure and the antidote to that is a simple lifestyle change.
Thank you so much. So there's the fear of health. So all these fear things that we talk about and all that. Another challenge is this, from my experience and a number of men that we talk, and we both do this in the men. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about it sometimes until it's too late. Is it because of the fear of we think it's wrong to talk about it, or it's that we are scared to talk about it, or we think that by talking about it we are affirming it? What are those signs we can look at, we can see in men to show that if we're going to help one another now, when men are having to deal with fear? Are there things we can look at? Are there things we can hear that will know a man is dealing with something? There's something that a man is scared of? Fear.
Oh, of course. Number one, they become uncomfortable around some conversations. So, for example, when I was going through a financial crisis, I was always uncomfortable when we had discussions around money, because it always reminded me of the fact that I didn't have money. So when a man becomes uncomfortable about some certain topics, is because there's a hidden fear that is trying to avoid. Then number two, when they start keeping away from social gatherings, they stop appearing where boys are gathered, stop getting in touch. There's something that they are dealing with.
Isolation.
That in our isolation, I know that in our climb, we've been erroneously brought up to show that, to believe that vulnerability is a weakness, which is not true. I have since learned that vulnerability is actually a strength. Showing your weakness is not a weakness, it's actually wisdom. Because if you behave like somebody who has it all made together, you will never get help. You understand? Like they say in Yoruba, people will only carry the child that spreads out his hands, not the one that doesn't spread out his hands. So there's the number one, there's that fear of addressing some issues, discussing some issues. Then number two, there's isolation. Then there's denial. They are denying, they are not really agreeing that that's what they are going through. But it's actually there. It's actually there. Then number four, for a wise man, a wise husband, a wise father, when they begin to have a fear, they discuss it with their wives. They bring their wives fully into the picture. And if the wife is a wise woman, they see it as a joint problem and solve it together. But the wife that is not wise might see it as a weapon, might weaponize it, start using it against their husband. So for example, like myself and my wife, a lot of people look at us and they are still surprised. They are surprised when we tell them we've been married for 17 years. Because just like you and your wife, you know, at times I see you and your wife, the way you guys play, poke fun at each other. You know, for somebody that doesn't know you, they'll be like, what's wrong with this? But you see, the truth is this: you are friends, and that's exactly the way myself and my wife are. So anything that is going through, anything I'm going through, it's a joint issue, and we face it together headlong. So when a man begins to have some fears and is actually wise, he invites his wife into the situation, and then they come together. And then one more thing is this. One more thing is this: when a man is afraid, they bring it out on the children. So, personally, I'll tell you something. Most times, the reason why we are reacting to our children, you know why? We are afraid of them turning out the way we turned out. So we basically punish the children for our own mistakes, because we fear that there might be a replay of our own past in their lives. So we are overly critical of the children and don't allow them to break. So when you see a man that is always possessive around the children, a man that is excessively punishing his children for the wrongs they've done, he is only living his own childhood fear, not wanting them to turn out the way it turned out.
Oh, okay, fantastic. So we've looked at what men fear, we've looked at why, we've looked at some of the things that can let us know how to know that a man has something he's afraid of, even when he's not talking about it. So you had this experience many years ago, and you know, finances now with finances, you know, where it affected. So if you play back, you know, and I think we said this sometime, Job said the thing I feared the most had befallen me. You know, whether that's a principle or not, I'm not too sure. Was it that somewhere in your mind you were scared of economic problems? Were you at some point scared of, is this something that's, no, from where you are, and I'm not saying back then, from where you are now, was it something that's you kind of drew to yourself because, you know, like Job was doing everything, oh, just in case my kids or somebody has messed up and all that? Were there things we're doing to ensure that you don't want this to happen to you and it happened? I had an experience many years ago. I went to speak in Abba, you know, and that was many, you know, and there was a lot of story of kidnapping and all that in Abba. So I flew to Owerri, and they drove me from Owerri to Abba. So I remember in my over consciousness, to ensure that my room was locked, I kept going up and down, locking the door. I was sleeping again, go and check whether I locked the door. By the time I woke up in the morning, you know, so you know, so it wasn't one of those doors in the hotel that you had those card keys. It was one of you know. So I think in one of those attempts to lock and open, I had opened the door, not knowing I didn't lock it. So I woke up in the morning, and the door was open. I said, "See how stupid you have been. You know, if God is not protecting you." So in my head, I could have done this. So with your own case, with the because I knew you had a good job and all that. Was there something in there, an unconscious fear of economic problems that literally brought that on you? If yes, is this something that men do, or just or this thing just come out like that?
No, there was no fear. As at the time it happened, there was no fear. Now, the problem is never the problem. The problem is always how we view the problem. So I had no fear of lack. I had no fear of breakdown. However, when I lost that money, the way I reacted to it was what brought in fear. So I misinterpreted it as the beginning of my end. Now, based on what I know now, yeah, you have failed, but you've fallen down. But you see, the falling down is not the failure. It is the staying down that becomes failure. The falling down is what I call failing, which means it's a process, while the staying down is the failure. Now, when that calamity happened, if I had seen it as just that a calamity, and then I can bounce back from this, I would not have opened the door to fear. But I saw it as a death knell. Now, you'll agree with me that there are two kinds of things that happen to people. There are some people, setbacks will come, which will agree with me. But the problem is not the setback. The problem is how you react or respond to the setback. So some of us, the material we are made from is glass. So when we fall, we just break it pieces. But some of us, the material we are made from is the same material that the EPL football is made from. So when we fall, based on our program, we simply bounce back. So I was in that position then that I was made of glass. So as soon as my first major challenge in life came, I just packed up like a piece of broken glass. But now, with what I know, I'll be like football. So for adventure, something like that happens, I know what to do to be able to bounce back. And in retrospect, I've studied the life of Job. A lot of us believe that what he really feared was becoming poor. But studying that story very well, his main fear was for his children not to sin against God. So when that thing happened, because of what he had been putting on, he believed that his children must have sinned against God. And then in doing that, he further opened the door wider to fear. And you know that fear is a self-fulfilling prophecy. It is faith in the reverse. Fear is actually faith, but faith in something negative. So when that thing happened to me, to like Job, unknowingly, I opened the door of fear. And then I kept going on, down and down. But thank God, who never gives up on people, he was able to restore me back.
Thank you very much. So so your, like I said, yours was finance, was economic, but and the principle is the same. I also heard about the story of this guy, and I know another person not too far from lives somewhere around us back then, who lost a job and never recovered from it. He lost a job,
Wow.
He lost a job in his early 30s, and he just never, even till about his 60s, he never recovered. There was another one. It was a relationship that went bad with a lady he wanted to marry, and I was hearing this story about 30 years after that relationship failed, and the guy still wasn't married. So and I like the illustration you gave, how some are made of glass and some are made of ball. How come there are experiences that freezes some people, it just locks you up and you are immobilized and you just keep going down, and for some other people it frees you to explore new opportunities. So you said if you had the same challenge that you had back then, your response will be different. So what makes people, particularly those of us who are men, when it comes to this thing we fear, it happens. Why do we get get frozen? I know something you said. Why do you get frozen? Whether it's a financial thing, whether it's a career, whether it's a relationship, and what allows you to take the higher ground of taking this challenge head on and making something out of it.
Okay, by and large, there are three responses to fear. And all those responses happen inside here. Mindset. So there's the fight response. You fight the fear.
Sorry, sir. Azubike, good evening. How are you doing? There's one of my bishop friends there. Azubike Obi.
Okay, Azubike. Command.
Yes.
They all come from the same place.
Another command people are showing up this evening.
Yes, though. Yes. Anyway.
All right.
So there's the flight response to fear. Where you see fear and you run away. Then there's the fight. You decide that you and I, we are going to, one of us has to die today, and you fight back. And then there's the third one, which is the freeze mode. When fear comes, you just freeze. You are not able to do anything. Now, what is happening is this. There's this silent enemy that we are not aware of, and that's what makes people freeze when they experience setbacks of calamity. And that silent enemy is what I call self-pity. Something happens to you. Why me? Why me? Why me? Why me? How could this have happened to me? You understand? The moment you go into self-pity, you are going to freeze. And you will never be able to come out of that rut. And if I remain like that permanently. So the first thing to do is accept that it has happened. Accept it. It has happened. There's nothing you could have done about it. It has happened. And then accept that you need to move on. Number one, accept that it has happened. Number two, realize that there is a place called forward. Once you realize that it has happened, you've lost it. But there's a place called forward. That the future is brighter than what has happened. Then you begin your recovery process. If those two things are not done, people will remain frozen. And when I work with people one-on-one, I talk to them about, I don't know if you've watched this first movie by Dr. Strange, Marvel Comics. Have you seen? Okay, you will find out, you remember that when they wanted to defeat that enemy, that beast in the end, he kind of put him in a time loop. So for the rest of the existence of that beast, it was in that time loop. So when calamities or setbacks happen to us, and we don't accept it, and we don't realize we need to move on, we are stuck in a time loop. So we are growing older numerically, we are growing older chronologically, but emotionally and psychologically we are still trapped in that place that it happened. So that's why people freeze. They give in to self-pity. They never own the problem, and then they become stuck. But the truth is this: once you realize that, it is life. Life happens. I can always bounce back. Then the recovery process has started. Remember what the Bible says. Remember not the former things. Behold, I make all things new. A righteous man falls 7 times, but the difference is this: he always rises back up again.
Okay, so I'm going to come against you now because you are quoting Bible and you are strong now. my friend Niyiadekunle to just join. Hello Ni, how you doing? So you were a bank manager, maybe GT Bank or First Bank, I can't quite remember the bank now, or you were one of those investment bank. Okay, GT Bank. You had life at this level. Everything was cool. In fact, I think you just bought your brand new Naira car and everything. Everything was looking nice. You were praying, I assume you were fasting, you were sowing seeds, you were doing, mind you said you had no fear. And you even had enough money to invest, and you were investing in the millions. Things were looking good, right? And out of nowhere, out of nowhere, the first, like if you remember the 9/11 thing, the twin tower. I remember I was in the office, so they showed it. The first plane went in there, bam. So the first thing that happened to you, was that the thing that knocked everything down, or there was something that you did not notice, that you felt that, oh, I'm a strong man, I understand these things and all that, and you went forward, and before the whole thing came crumbling down? That's one. Then I have another question based on the answer you give to me to that.
Okay, so it was a process. It was a
Okay.
process. So as soon as I lost money, I also filled with confidence. At that point, I was in
Okay, I
charge
wanted
of.
to. You were still filled with confidence. I wanted you to talk about the
Yes,
confidence. Okay,
I
cool.
was still filled with
All right.
confidence when it happened. Mind you, at that point, I was in charge of the prayer team of my church, and at full strength, I had 10,000 members. So I was just like, this must be the devil, and I'll deal with him. So I went into prayer and fasting, but nothing happened. So the longer that thing persisted, the more reality dawned on me that this could be something very, very serious. And then the longer it persisted, because it was a process. I invested on Monday. By Friday, the investment went south. I didn't lose everything at once, but as an investment banker, there's this thought at the back of your mind: hold on to your investment, don't panic. So the longer I stood in the capital market, the more the investment became eroded. And mind you, part of it.
So you were following the law. You were following the laws, the practice, the best practice.
Oh yes.
You were sinking. All right.
Yes, I was following best practice, and 70% of the investment was also a loan. Now,
Okay.
I got that loan at 13%. Then a month after, because everybody was feeling the shock, they wrote that the loan was now 15%. 2 weeks after, they wrote again that the loan had now become 17%. After that, they just stopped writing till the loan became about 23% plus quarterly management fee of 2%, making 31% per annum. So all these things as they
were you sleeping?
I wasn't sleeping, but I would say that I probably was in that freeze mode. So it eventually became, and
were you talking to anybody?
Yes, I was talking to everybody. Of course, I had colleagues, fellow stockbrokers, and all they kept saying was, hold on. If you break the investment today, what if it goes up tomorrow? Hold on. So I kept holding on. And along the line, we had a salary review in the office. And because I was a kind of management staff, my own salary was reduced by about 35%. So it made a bad situation worse. So as all these shocks kept on coming, it was more and more bad news, which I didn't know how to internalize them. And then they came up till eventually all those things, because I didn't know how to handle them, they pulled me down. And because I was no longer taking feedback from God's word, I was now taking feedback from the state of my bank account, from the state of my investment. The more you feed yourself with bad news, the more your defense are going to break down. And that's why the Bible says, "He shall not be afraid of evil tidings, for his heart is fixed, trusting in the Lord." But my own heart was fixed on my bank account, and gradually, there's nobody that can survive a continual barrage of bad news, and eventually that was what became my experience. So it was a process.
So for us as men, these bad news come, they just come. So like for Job, it was just coming from this. So for you, it was coming from one source and all that. And how do we stay strong in the midst of all these things? So these are things I fear. It's right on your table now. It's right there. It's nothing you can do about it, and it just keeps coming. How do we deal with it as men?
Number one thing, which is what I'm working on, you must make sure you have a men's community. people you can bear your soul to, people you know that they won't make fun of you when you make a mistake, but they will genuinely look for ways to rehabilitate you. Now, let me tell you what happened to me there. I was in the office, I was a leader. In church, I was also a leader. I was somebody that people were taking advice from. I was like a kind of Solomon. I was dishing out advice, dishing out wisdom, but I wasn't taking from anybody.
And was it because there was nobody, or you just did not have people in your life that you could go to and get it from?
There was really nobody. And you know, that's one thing that happens to pastors a lot. We help people, but in most cases we are isolated. And you will notice that to a large extent, it's one of the reasons why I've made sure that I have cultivated a close relationship with you. You are somebody that I can bear my soul to at any point in time. And like you, I have so many other people like that too now in my life, which I didn't know then. So we must of necessity make ourselves accountable, put ourselves in a community of men, people that can treat our FU if the need arises, and that can genuinely give us the right advice. So that's something we men need to do. No man is an island, but you find out that many fathers, many men think that I can go on this journey alone. It's not true. It's not true. Yes, my wife is my best friend, but there are some kinds of advice that my wife will not be able to give me because she's not a man. She's a woman. And she won't see things from the perspective of a man. So that's why I have people like you in my life and other friends that Pastor Lee, this is what is happening. Have you been through this before? But even if you've not been through it before, what do you think I should do? How do you think I should go about it? So that is very, very, very key.
Thank you very much, sir. Last week Thursday, I went to see one of my mentors, Dr. Kolade. He's 90. He's going to be 91 this year.
Wow.
And we're talking last week Thursday, and one of the things he told me, after we said a few things, said let's talk about Nigeria. And we spoke about Nigeria, and he now took me to a relationship he had with his dad, and now if he is 90 and he's going to be 90, he's going to be 91 in December, you can imagine how old his dad must have been, and how and I was shocked that the lesson he gave me about his dad was and the simple thing was this: it's about work. So I was telling him about the things I was doing and the situation we are now, both in my personal life, the country, and all that. And it was just very simple, And sometimes you can feel overwhelmed. And when you talk to someone like Dr. Kolade, he's on this board, that board, with government, private sector, public sector, it's very simple. He said, listen, I just told him, he said, listen, Jesus told Peter after all the dramas, he said, Peter, do you love me? He said, yes. He said, the result is this: feed my sheep. And and this made that a pastor. He said, Nay, all you can do is all you can do. Pour your life in people. He said, feed my sheep. Just pour your life in people. Yes, Peter, you've messed up. You've done this and done this. There seems to be some beef with us. But the way we resolve it is this: as long as you take what I have and keep pouring in people, that is the solution. And you see, for that, it just, and I know a number of people. I spoke to a pastor, and I won't call them, very some million person over the weekend. The sense of helplessness we feel as men sometimes. So in this season now, we've just resumed school just resumed, and I keep telling the school, I said, this your April break is cheating, because you give us like 2-3 weeks, then you slam us with the school fees, then and all that. If we so if we don't have those community, and I like the fact that you spoke about the community of men, if we don't have those community of men to speak to, I've had guys call me today about something. If we don't have those community of men to speak to, sometimes we think that now, if not for the things we experience, you think that you are the only one who has lost millions of naira. But look at you today, you are still here. If you don't tell someone today, maybe some people say, oh, you mean he lost that tens of millions, and he's still saying today, yes, you are. And people are learning from that experience today. So again, the next question I wanted to ask, that confidence that you had, that listen, I don't need to talk to anybody, I can sort myself out. and you had that experience, how did you move from there to the place where you are today without feeling your ego is good? Like, me, I'm a shameless human being. I can say, Pastor Wale, I remember there was a time I had my back pain. You were the first person to show up in my house, and it was so humiliating because I couldn't walk. And but that's it. I just couldn't. And there are just times you are just incapacitated. You have to call for help. How do you get to that level where you can say, listen, my friend is here, Ni is here, a couple of guys as we get it, where you can say, guys, I need help. I'm scared of this or this happening. I don't know how to handle it. Maybe, again, I'm not saying you can go and talk to everybody like that, obviously. But how do you come to that place where you can really say, listen, and you don't feel your ego is bruised? Because that's another thing. When you spoke, and I like the fact that you spoke about confidence. Where do you get that point where you say, and we spoke about vulnerability, where you know that this has nothing to do with my ego, and I can just be open and open and naked and not ashamed with some of my friends and guys' friends?
You just have to humble yourself. So
or you are humbled.
Yeah.
After some people are humble, they don't humble themselves.
No. You just have to humble. After you are humbled by the calamity, you also have to humble yourself. Because a proud man will never receive help. And the reason why he will never receive help is because he won't ask for help. But once you are humble, like they say,
so it's not weakness. It's not weakness to ask for help.
No, it's not weakness. And interestingly, some men won't even ask God for help. Talk less of asking men. I'm a man. I can handle all these things. So you have to humble yourself. I know Sabi this thing. So let me go and meet people that know it and can help me. And then that way you begin the journey. But until, for as long as you don't humble yourself, you are not going to get help. Not from God, not from men. So it starts with humility. Because a river never flows upward, it only flows downward. So you have to humble yourself and then go and get help. Look at Peter. When Peter started walking on the sea, when he started thinking, what did he do? He cried out.
Cried for help.
If he not cried, if he had been proud after all, Jesus would walk in nature. I have the same thing. If he had not cried out, maybe today we would have been reading in the Bible how Peter stand. But he cried out for help, and then the Lord helped him. And he didn't help him as God, he helped him as a man because he put out his hand. So it starts with humility. Humble yourself that you need help, and then go for help.
Thank you very much, sir. So I'm looking at the time now, and I want to talk about something practical. So we are in our late 40s, early 50s, and all that, and things have changed so much. Back in those days, they say people will work till age 65 or 70 before they retire. Now I have friends, even younger ones, that they are being laid off in their early 40s. People are being redundant. And I've seen men just lose their head. They lose their composure. Some have even lost their homes. They've lost so many things because of these things. So, and I think, like you said, it's the way we interpret this. Because that you lose your job or you lose this, it doesn't mean you've lost your life. How can we begin to how can we ensure what has happened to an aspect of our life, maybe a career, like I said, a health situation, a financial situation? How can we insulate ourselves from that so that what has happened to that thing does not become a fall of our person? I don't know if you are getting me right now.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Okay, please.
I did so. About 2 weeks ago, I was on Arise TV to talk about the same thing. We, especially for Nigeria, we need to take mental health much more seriously, because until we start taking it more seriously, we'll have people breaking down. You can't break down until your mental well-being first of all breaks down. So we need to get to that level where everyone is being equipped with this mental health skills to be able to navigate our way out of circumstances and situations. So like I tell people, if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. So the problem is not the day of adversity. It will come. The problem is the strength, the resilience, the emotional stability. So we need to get to that level where people need to be equipped with these resources. Like I said earlier, life will happen. It is life. Life will happen. But the main issue is not that life has happened. The main issue is how are you going to respond? Are you going to respond like a piece of glass or like a football? That is what matters, and everything starts from here. So it's all about mental resilience, emotional stability, and how to navigate our way out of this thing. And if it's going to happen, it has to be done by experts who are going to give people that clue. So the earlier the federal government signs the mental health bill into law, the better it's going to be for us.
And sadly, you said it as if you can. Sadly, you don't learn these things from school. There's no university you can go and learn resilience.
No.
There's no polytechnic or incidental. You in our worship centers. Sometimes I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but you have to be very deliberate about learning resilience. Somebody called it adversity quotient. You have to learn how to face adversity and all this and all that.
AQ.
So what do you say?
I said AQ. Adversity.
Yes, AQ. Yeah. So as we close here, what are some tools that helped you and are still helping you to develop this thing? Because Nigeria is a tough place. There's no points, and it's not just Nigeria. People are the toughness is in different climes. So what are some of the things you can practice as a person?
Number one.
I know you said a few things, but let's just say a few things as we close now.
Number one, practice gratitude as a lifestyle. Be grateful for where you've been, where you are going, what you have. Be grateful for everything. Then number two, only focus on what you want. If you chase two rabbits, you'll catch none. You can only focus on one thing at the same time. Don't focus on what you don't want. Don't focus on what you fear. Only focus on what you want. You can't be driving in two directions at the same time. You can only go in one direction. So only focus on what you want. And then number three, see everything as a learning curve. Even if it is failure, see it as a teacher. Don't see it as an undertaker. See it as a teacher. Learn the lesson and remember, there is a place called forward.
Wow. Bishop Dr. Wale, as usual, thank you very much. What we've just done today, we brought our personal conversations public.
That's the way. That's the new lifestyle.
We brought our personal conversation public. Thank you so much. Always a wonderful time, and you can see what social media has and our digital world has done for us. I can't remember the last time I touched you physically. That's what social media does. It makes it look as if we are in touch every day. And we live in the same city, but we are making the most of it. We thank you so much. I'm very grateful. And thank you for the things you are doing. Thank you yourself and Lola. I see all those things, and you guys are doing amazing things. And I'm sure we'll get together again to do some of these things. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for your time. We normally load these things up, on my YouTube page. So if you've missed it or you want to go back to it, please, you can go on my YouTube page, niyiadekunle, on YouTube, my YouTube channel, and get this. So thank you very much. God bless you, Pastor Wale. Thank you for your time. And lovely evenings. Thank you for breaking your social media fast for me and coming on.
No problem. No problem.
Very grateful. Incidentally, I'm doing the same thing. I didn't go off it. I just reduced it. I reduced it at the end of the month. So I guess it's a good time for a lot of us. All right. Take care of yourself. Lovely evening. Thank you very much, everybody. Good night.
Good night.